Hello everyone, Chris Lasakis here for Eyes to the Sky Environmental Services. Hope you're all doing well, and I wanted to take a moment today to shoot a video for you concerning the most likely locations within the Tennessee Valley, the southern Tennessee Valley, to receive tornadoes. This comes at the request of a friend. She's moving and she requested that I give her some information concerning which areas are most prone to being struck by tornadoes in the southern Tennessee Valley. Primarily the Tennessee Valley region of northern Alabama, and so that's what I'm going to be concentrating on. But as you can see, I've highlighted some areas in Tennessee as well. Three of them for you so that you can have some information there. If you know folks that are moving or plan to move, to the Tennessee Valley or are moving to a different place within the Tennessee Valley, please let them know. And this information will hopefully help a lot of you out there. So let's jump right on into it. The first thing I should do is supply a legend for you. You can see over here on the upper right, again, this is just significant tornadoes. So tornadoes of EF2 strength or greater constitutes a significant tornado. And also, I've highlighted in light white or gray shading the corridors of tornadic activity. You can see those. There's many of them across the southern Tennessee Valley, as you can see. And we'll discuss those a little bit more in a moment, but I just want to give you the overall feel of the data, gives, so that you can gather some information. Particularly, I'd like to focus on the areas that I've marked as safe. So number one here is this region coming up from northern Limestone County, Alabama, around Elkmont, and just west of there, arcing north and then north-northeast toward the Shelbyville, Tennessee area. So including parts of extreme northern Lincoln County, Tennessee, southern Marshall County, Tennessee, and eastern Giles County, Tennessee, back into northern Limestone County, Alabama again. This would probably be one of my top picks for the safest places in the southern Tennessee Valley pertaining to tornadoes. Another one would be number 3 over here. This is just north of Florence, Alabama, in Lauderdale County. Extreme northwestern Colbert County would be included in that too, but not much. Just a little sliver right there along the Tennessee River. You get too much further west into northwestern Colbert County and you get into this area that's prone to tornadoes near Tishomingo County, Mississippi. There's also a corridor down here in southeastern Madison County, southeast of Huntsville, around the Owens Crossroads area, as you can see, back down into a little portion of northeastern Morgan County. That area seems to be fairly safe from tornadoes. I think there's this particular data set, guys, that I'm presenting is the NOAA data set, which I believe goes back to 1950. Let me try to get this right, 1952 or 3, and has data from all known tornadoes until the present day. This particular set, though, goes from 1953 to 2017, so it does not include tornadoes after 2017 or before 1952. So a couple of other things I'll mention. Yeah, this corridor up through here that comes out from just north of Corinth, Mississippi, across the Pickwick Dam area, Hardin, Wayne, Lawrence, Lewis, Giles counties in Tennessee, up into Murray County. This is a historically known track for receiving strong to violent tornadoes. The biggest one, I'm pretty sure you guys know, those of you who have studied severe weather are already following me, what I'm about to say, is this tornadic thunderstorm that came across Wayne, Lawrence, and Giles County into Murray County back on April 16th, 1998. This was the forgotten F5, and actually this track is a little bit too far to the north. Some of the tracks from the NCEI database are a little bit off, so I'll help, on the major tracks kind of correct those for you as we go discuss this. This track should probably be more like right in through here. Shift at about 10 miles, 5 miles to the south, about right in through here. Deerfield, Tennessee is located right here. Etheridge, Summertown, right in through here. That tornado went right through here. It was actually a series of 3 tornadoes. I have a video on my YouTube channel here where I've discussed that. But yeah, so this is a corridor right in through here. Here's one, guys, that affects the Jackson, Tennessee area. You know, Jackson, Tennessee is right here, just off the screen. But you can see these tornado tracks that are emanating from that area, from Madison County, Tennessee, which is Jackson, moving to the east and northeast. That's a very tornado-prone area. So if you're moving to Jackson, Tennessee, or anywhere around there, Henderson County, Chester County, that is a very tornado-prone area. So there's a couple of our corridors. Another one is this one that comes out of the Tupelo, Prentiss, Itawamba, Lee County, Mississippi area, right in through here. And that tends to kind of taper off toward the Alabama state line. So this area, again, is reasonably safe. Here in northern Colbert County, especially west of Tuscumbia. The Tuscumbia area is known for getting some tornadoes. But yeah, so the Tuscumbia corridor picks up right through here, moves east-northeast. Many of you remember the F4 tornado that hit Anderson Hills, Alabama, Harvest, Meridianville, Hazel Green area, Newmarket on May 18th, 1995. That supercell took this path right through here. It produced a tornado near Tuscumbia, near the Muscle Shoals Flight Service Station, moved east-northeast across Limestone, Madison counties. The F4 tornado that day touched down on the eastern side of the city of Athens, out there near the fairgrounds area, the athletic park area of Athens, the northeastern side. Moved across Interstate 65 and then into Madison County, where it did really bad damage out here, F4 damage in part of the county. Yeah, that's a corridor. There's another one that runs, the big one though, guys, probably the biggest one that I want to talk about, one of 2 that are tremendous tornadic corridors, is this one that comes out of Marion and Lamar County in Alabama, counties in Alabama. This is one of the greatest EF5 tornado corridors in the nation. And it emanates again from the Columbus, Mississippi area, just east of Starkville, Mississippi, where I am now, and moves northeast through Franklin, Winston, Lawrence, Morgan, Limestone, Madison, and then up into Lincoln and Franklin, Tennessee. There have been places in Limestone County, Alabama, that have been hit by 3 F5 tornadoes in the last 45 years, and since 1974, April 3rd, 1974, so 47 years. Have been hit by 3 F5 tornadoes, 2 on the same day. The twin F5s, back-to-back F5s, 35 minutes apart on April 3rd, 1974, that hit down here in the Bridgeforth community of southern Limestone County, Beulah Land, south of Tanner, along the north bank of the Tennessee River. For those of you who know that area, you probably know the story. And it's an incredible story. I'll tell it sometime. Many of you probably are familiar with that story. And also, how is that really that uncommon for violent tornadoes to go across the same area on a tornado outbreak day? You know, if you're having a bad tornado outbreak, the way the atmosphere is often configured, does that not allow for the potential of tornadic supercells to form along tracks, so to say? Imagine it like a train track in the atmosphere. You have these upper level dynamics and kinematic or wind field characteristics that can set up tracks, so to say, of tornadic supercells. You could have boundaries as well, which is somewhat related to that. That allow for supercell thunderstorms or tornadic storms to form and then just race across the same area. So there again, you know, that begs the question, is it really that rare for violent tornadoes? Perhaps it is for F5s. You know, F5 tornadoes are just exceedingly rare no matter how you slice it. But is it rare for violent tornadoes or intense tornadoes, EF3+, right, to go across the same area within an hour's time during a violent tornado outbreak? I don't know. Just something to chew on, think about. Back to the topic at hand here, guys. We could just, go off on so many rabbit trails here. Yeah, so number one is probably, and number three as well. These areas are really safe. I consider these areas to be relatively safe in the Deep South, especially in the Tennessee Valley, which is heavily prone to tornadoes, as you know. This number six down here seems to be pretty safe as well. It's pretty tight gradient there. You have really sharp cutoff here, a tight gradient in lack of tornadoes, so tons of tornadoes here, and then just nothing. That would be parts of northern Cherokee County, and I believe that's Etowah County. So northeastern Etowah County, near the Cherokee County line there, and then the northern part of Cherokee County into western Chattooga County, Georgia. Seems to be really safe, relatively safe there. Let's see what else. Okay, so yeah, again, this number four, so it's a little bit darker blue shading because there's a caveat involved. This corridor right through here, again in light gray or white, which ends right at the tip of that four outline area. So yeah, you might not mind building a house here. It's probably, relatively safe, but you might get a lot of close calls. So as you can see, a lot of the tornado producing storms that have come out of Madison County enter western Jackson County. Some examples of that would be April 3rd, 1974, when the F3 tornado hit Huntsville and then moved into the rugged terrain of eastern Madison County into western Jackson and died out. I believe that's this tornado here, the tornado that formed at 11:30 that evening on April 3rd. And then the Huntsville-Madison County F4 tornado that hit on November 15th, 1989. That is probably this dark red shading right through here. This track should actually, yeah, that's right. Killingsworth Cove is where it ended. So yes, you might have some close calls out in this area. Here's the tornado that hit on November 29th, 2016, that ended the flash drought that we were having here in the Huntsville-Madison County area. I don't think we got rain for like 6 weeks, which is just incredible. Anyhow, so if you lived in this number four here, you'd have a lot of close calls, but probably no tornadoes. Probably no tornadoes. It could be something with the terrain there, the topography, that is keeping the tornadoes from maintaining themselves as they move out of central and northern Madison County into this region. This would be let's see, which tornado is this? I believe that's April 27th. Yeah, that's the huge F5 tornado that my book is going to be about, that crossed northwestern Alabama and died out in Franklin County, Tennessee, that approaches our four dark blue area here. So yeah, you'd probably have lots of close calls, but probably very few tornadoes within this area, just because history shows that. But again, should issue a disclaimer, just because history shows that tornadoes haven't happened in that area in the last 60 years does not mean, or 70 years, certainly does not mean it can't happen. Always got to say that, right? Just because the atmosphere and topography can allow for some variations in there. Got to mention that. All right, there was one tornado that went through this number two back on the outbreak March 21, 1932. That's the outbreak that many meteorologists consider to be a super outbreak. So you have really four events over the last 145, 150 years that are considered candidates as super outbreaks. The April 27, 2011 super outbreak, April 3rd, 1974 super outbreak, March 21, 1932, which is, it's considered by some to be a super outbreak, but I tend to think it was probably on the lower end of that, if maybe not just below super outbreak criteria. It was a really bad event. Obviously, there were no tornado warnings back in 1932, no tornado watches. But I tend to think that it was probably along the lines of something like Super Tuesday, perhaps from 2008, which, don't get me wrong, Super Tuesday is a really bad event, but I just don't know. I question whether or not 32 was a super outbreak. It very well may have been. However, back in 1884, we have something called the Enigma outbreak. I believe it was February 21 and 22 of 1884. and it's known as the Enigma tornado outbreak, and it was really bad. It ran from eastern Mississippi all the way into the Carolinas and Virginia, and yeah, it was really bad, and lots of lives were lost. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly how many were lost because a lot of people weren't counted. But yeah, those are the four events: February 19 and 20, 1884. That's the Enigma outbreak. Anyhow, yeah, so those are the events that are considered potential super outbreak candidates, or are super outbreak candidates. And I say that because, they're rare, but we don't know. One could happen in 10 years. It may not wait, 30 years to happen again, 35 years. So that's something we just don't have enough data, I feel. And you can have anomalies, right? So it's just hard to say when it'll happen again. Anyway, yeah, you have this corridor here. You kind of have overlying corridors. We have this one huge arrow right through here coming out, and then this other one crossing over here. The tornado that hit, I'm trying to recall, obviously a lot of the Sand Mountain tornadoes from April 27th are in this huge swath right through here. The Rainsville F5, that's this one. The Pisgah F4, EF4 was really probably an EF5. All involved. So if you're considering moving on to Sand Mountain, please be very careful and pay close attention to this map. It's really important to see that, and to know where you're moving in relation to these tracks. Okay, so let's look around. Yeah, this number 5 here seems to be reasonably safe. There was an F2 tornado back on June 26, 1994. I was at Boy Scout camp up here at Camp Skymont, which is right at the tip of my cursor right here. And it missed us by 2 miles. The funnel cloud, as it was developing, as it was coming out of Coffee County, went right over top of us in the dining hall, and then touched down 2 miles to the east in rural Grundy County, and tore the heck out of some homes, injured some people. Thankfully, no fatalities. But that's what spurred my interest in severe weather. Just FYI. You can see the cluster around Huntsville. Yeah, Huntsville, you have to be careful. The Huntsville area is very prone to tornadic activity. Another thing that you might consider is that how do the major metropolitan or the major population centers affect the reporting of these tornadoes? So, in other words, if this had been rural area in Huntsville, would we still have this cluster here, and this cluster near Fort Payne? And you can apply that to a lot of these different places. Coleman obviously gets a lot of severe weather. That may affect it a little bit. The fact that it's a heavily populated area, therefore more tornadoes get reported. That could be a small fraction of it. But also, I think it just shows that Huntsville area, Huntsville, Athens, Decatur, is in a significant tornado swath, area prone to tornadic activity. This number 6 down here really fascinates me. I think it's interesting. There is such a strong cutoff gradient here, and no tornadoes to tornadoes, very similar to number 2 here. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to throw this out there. I hope some of you get a lot out of this. If you have any questions, please let's engage in some conversation down below in the chat, in the comments. And you guys can launch some questions there, and we can discuss them. So I look forward to it. Here's an interesting tornado here back on in February of 1952 that hit Fayetteville, Tennessee. I believe it's the only violent tornado or significant tornado to ever affect Fayetteville. So that's interesting. You can see here, I'll throw a couple others out. This is the second Tanner tornado from April 3rd, 1974. This pink line right through here. The track is a little wrong, though. The track should be more like that right there. So yeah, the NOAA database, NCDC database got that a little off. I don't know how the coordinates sometimes get jumbled and a little off there, but they do sometimes. May 18th, 1995, F4. Here it is. This track right here, this red line. This is off as well. The track should be more like that, going across from its start position is probably accurate, but then the track from there should be more like that across the Stegger's Curve, Meridianville, Harvest area into Newmarket. All right, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.